this video, we're going to continue to work in configurations, and we're going to focus on customers. So I'm going to go to Stores, and then Configuration. And then in Configuration, I'm going to go into Customers, and I'm going to start with Newsletter. And with the newsletter information, all of the default information is fine, so I'm not going to change anything in the newsletter area. The next area I'm going to go to is Customer Configuration. And in here I've got Account Sharing, which is going to stay the same. Online Customer Options, which is going to stay the same. And then Create New Account Options, and all of that's going to stay the same. And then Password Options. And there's one thing that I'm going to change in the password option, and that is the number of required character classes. If you guys have ever had to save your passwords, you know that each one requires something different. So in this case, the number of different character classes could include that you have to have a lowercase, an uppercase, digits, and special characters. By default, they have to have 3 of those. I'm going to change the default, and I'm going to change it to 2. So they only have to have 2 of those instead of 3. It will make their password easier, and they don't have to jump through hoops to create a password. Down here where it says account information, we'll keep everything the same. On name and address options, on show prefix, you can change that if you want to show yes, and then have a drop down that includes Mr., Miss, Mrs., but you can leave it the default for the start, and if you want to change that later, you can. So everything else here, default, can remain the same. Login options can remain the same. Address templates can remain the same. And CAPTCHA, if you want to use CAPTCHA, you can leave that as default. So that's all the settings for the configuration on the customer. So I'm going to click Save Configurations. And now I'll go down to Wish List. And in Wish List, the general options, everything's going to stay the same. Share options, everything's going to stay the same. And in My Wish List link, everything's going to stay the same. And then I'll go to Promotions. And in Promotions, all of the default information is going to stay the same. And the next one is Persistent Shopping Cart. In this one, it's really important to think about the Persistent Shopping Cart. This is the one where when you start shopping, if you put something into your cart and then you leave the website, a lot of places, if you go back to the website, it will still have the item in your cart. That's called Persistent Shopping Cart. And by default, this is turned off, but I want to turn mine on because it's such a valuable tool to use to encourage someone to make a purchase. A lot of times people will use their Persistent Shopping Cart as almost like a wish list, where they'll put it in their shopping cart so they can come back later and purchase. So we'll go ahead and click yes, and then we'll leave all the default settings the same, and then I'm going to click Save Configuration. And that's all we need to do in the configuration area for customers. Now we're going to go to the next video where we'll talk about sales and how to set that up for your Magento store. I'll see you in the next video.